Coming up this hour on Chris 6 Sunrise, President Trump has announced the release of the Epstein files. We have details on what happens next. Here's a look at what other stories we're covering in your neighborhood.
Chilling news from Robstown Police Department. Tuesday's shooting that left a 14-year-old dead is connected to a Sunday shooting that sent a 16-year-old to the hospital. I'm Tyrese Boone with an update on the investigation.
If you've spent time in the North Side lately, you might have seen these new signs. I'm Jada Jenkins on the North Side with the new plans the city has for this area and why some neighbors say it's just not enough.
Good Thursday morning. I'm Michaela Chavez. Brian and Michelle have the day off. Let's turn it over to Stephen Jones, who's standing by with a look at your roadways before you head out the door this morning. Stephen, happy Thursday.
Well, happy Thursday to you as well, Michaela. Not too bad out there today. How are you holding up on the morning sunrise show so far?
You know, I actually got 12 hours of sleep last night. Not on purpose, but at least I got them.
Yeah, there you go. We'll take it. You know, starting off the day, feeling nice and energized, hopefully. And really, as we're looking at the roadways, not too bad either. Plenty of green on the board right now as we're starting off our Friday Junior, if you will. Let's get a good in-depth look here at some of the traffic out and about across Corpus Christi. Starting off with the New Harbor Bridge, if you're heading to or from Portland this morning, really good and green that way as well as we work into Corpus Christi. Our major roadways not looking too bad. Ocean Drive, SPID, Saratoga, and Crosstown Expressway look like they're all coming in the clear as you're heading out the door this morning. As we're looking a little bit closer to the island over towards Flower Bluff now. Flower Bluff Drive, no major slowdowns to report there, just the minor one on Waldron Road it looks like, and a pretty hefty one as we get closer to the gates at the Naval Air Station. So I want to plan a couple extra minutes for that as we're heading out the door. And really as you work your way inland, there is some fog to be wary of as well. So a couple extra minutes out the door for that as well. Taking a look at some of those drive times, not too bad out the door. 22 minutes from downtown to the island. Portland to downtown sitting at about 8 minutes. Cal Island to downtown looking at 15 minutes. So wherever you're coming from and going to, going to be good and green to head out the door and then kick off your Thursday morning.
Thanks, Stephen. We will get to your neighborhood news in just a bit, but first, oral arguments are set for today over the immigration case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He's the Salvadorian national who was mistakenly deported by the Trump administration and then brought back to the U.S. Last month, Immigration and Customs Enforcement filed a notice of their plan to deport him to the West African nation of Liberia. In a filing on Friday, Abrego's attorney argued that Abrego Garcia has already designated Costa Rica as a country where he is willing to be deported. They claim the government must send him there. President Donald Trump has authorized the public release of all Jeffrey Epstein-related files. He announced on Truth Social Wednesday night that he signed a bill directing the Justice Department to do so. The signing comes a day after the measure passed the House 427-1. It passed the Senate through unanimous consent Wednesday morning. The bill mandates that Attorney General Pam Bondi release all unclassified records tied to Epstein within 30 days. President Donald Trump announced Wednesday that he plans to host New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani Friday in the Oval Office. It would be their first face-to-face meeting since the election. On social media, Trump said that Mamdani asked for the meeting and he agreed. In an interview Wednesday, Mamdani said he wants to speak plainly to the president about New Yorkers struggling to afford the city. Mamdani is scheduled to be sworn in as mayor in January. And after 2 years without a murder on record, the city of Robstown has seen shootings on back-to-back days, one of them fatal. While Sunday's incident is still under investigation, Tuesday's murder of 14-year-old Sean Sanchez is sending ripple effects through the community. Neighborhood News reporter Tyrese Boone has more from Robstown.
It was Tuesday afternoon. Police were called to the Figueroa Square apartments for a shooting. That's where 14-year-old Sean Sanchez was found dead. Investigators say the teen was shot multiple times by several men who came out of a silver Chevy truck. We spoke with Robstown Police Chief Mike Thomas, who says this shooting may be connected to Sunday's shooting that left a 16-year-old hurt. Sanchez's death marks Robstown's first murder in 2 years. Chief Thomas says detectives have been working nonstop to move this case forward and hold those responsible accountable.
Some of these individuals haven't even slept since yesterday at 8 o'clock since they came in, but it's that relentless persistence to make sure that the family gets justice.
And today is the last day for Thomas J. Henry's Turkey Giveaway, which means one more day of alternate traffic routes on Shoreline. Street closures are in place along Shoreline from Buford Street all the way down to Cooper's Alley. It begins at 6:30 in the morning. Access to all businesses in the area will still be maintained through Water Street.
Well, good Thursday morning there, Coastal Bend. I'm meteorologist Stephen Jones. Getting a live look out at Snoopy's Pier thanks to Matthews CCAC. You can see 77 degrees. Those winds also out of the southeast, about 11 miles an hour right now, and a few cars starting to take off on the causeway there as well, with plenty of cloud cover out there, if not a little bit of fog trying to make its way into the area as well. Current temperatures in your neighborhood: 77 for Ingleside, Port Aransas, and the Naval Air Station. Off to the northwest, Cotulla coming in at 72 degrees. That's going to be the same number for Beeville this morning. Here in town, about 74 degrees, going to be the same also out in Robstown. As we're looking at those visibilities, like I said, a little bit of patchy fog starting to develop across the area, mainly off towards the south, Kingsville, Alice, even Orange Grove, starting to get a little bit of that patchy fog working into the area. Here in Corpus Christi, luckily not too bad for now, but going to see if any of it tries to expand into the area. Going to keep my eyes on it. With that humidity in place, though, the air temperature is likely to get into the upper 80s today, but feeling like those lower 90s by about noon through 4 p.m. So another toasty day on the way for the Coastal Bend. Just want to be mindful of that as we're heading out and about today. But luckily there's some rain on the radar. Finally, you can see some spotty shower activity working into Clayburgh County and then pushing its way off towards the northwest as well, in through Orange Grove and there along 37. So going to see if we see any expansion of this going through those morning hours, but it looks like into the afternoon should dry out for us. Taking a look off towards the north, that's where the really better rain chances are going to remain. You can see that flood watch in effect really through tomorrow morning as well. Luckily, this is the northern extent of our watershed, so hopefully they pick up a good amount of rain and then starts to trickle down into the area. Hopefully it just eats away at that drought at least, so we get another chance at rain, and then we can start to see some of that really flow into some of our reservoirs here in the Coastal Bend. Taking a look at your future tracker, you can see that spotty shower activity across the Coastal Bend area, but should dry off by the afternoon with the more expansive rainfall and storm activity off towards the Hill Country and Central Texas today, and that's where we're really watching for the best rain chances as we go into the afternoon hours. Just I wish a little bit more was trying to work its way into Corpus Christi. By tomorrow night, that's where we could see that stalled boundary really work its way into the northern half of the Coastal Bend. Really just going to see some spotty activity and probably no major downpours, but if you do get a good downpour, going to be probably brief at that best as we're going through the evening hours. For those rainfall estimates here in Corpus Christi on the tail end of the system, so only looking probably about 1/4 of an inch to maybe 1/2 inch of rainfall here, but as you work your way towards the northern extent of that watershed, like I said, 2 to 3 inches definitely possible under some of those heavier downpours, and hopefully starts to eat away at some of that drought for us across central and south Texas. Taking a look at that upper level pattern, our next weather maker and cool down potentially on the way by the middle of next week. The stronger signals coming in by about that Wednesday to Thursday timeframe, so that's where we really have that next front on the board and potentially a reinforcing shot of cold air, hopefully. So that's where the temperatures go down through those lower 80s, and hopefully by the time we're heading into Thanksgiving, even some 70s with overnight lows in those 60s, if not the 50s.
I'm Tony Jaramillo on the south side. According to this source, Texas has the highest rate of uninsured people in the country. I'll tell you where Nueces County ranks and how one startup is trying to offer help.
The redistricting fight has made its way to the Supreme Court. Coming up on Sunrise, Scripps News Group Joe St. George will have the latest. Welcome back. It is 6:11 on your Thursday morning, and we're taking a live look at our SPID Skycam right now. If you're anything like us over here, this week has gone by, and so have all the other weeks leading up to Thanksgiving. Our meteorologist Stephen Jones is standing by with a look at your forecast, but first, we head to Washington. The redistricting fight here in Texas has made its way to the Supreme Court. On Tuesday, a federal court ruled that Texas cannot use its newly drawn congressional map in next year's midterm elections. To talk more about this, we bring in our Deputy Political Director, Joe St. George. Good morning, Joe. Did the Republicans' plan backfire? And is there a chance that Tuesday's ruling will be appealed?
Well, I think a lot of conservatives feel as though that they have a better chance of winning in some higher courts. But the ruling in Texas this week took a lot of people by surprise. And what you asked there, did the Republicans' plan backfire? It it could. We'll see where the storyline goes, because what did Texas start? Texas began a domino effect in which California is redrawing their maps. And remember, they went to voters for theirs. Theirs looks to be maybe perhaps a little more legally sound than Texas, at least at this point. You could have a situation where what Texas Republicans did in the end ends up giving Democrats an advantage in the 2026 midterm elections. But we're a ways away from that, right? I mean, there's always an advantage for conservatives at the conservative-leaning Supreme Court. Here's the bigger kicker, though. Remember what the judge said about the maps in Texas. The order basically said that race was unfairly used, improperly used by Texas conservative to draw these maps. Well, there's a separate case at the Supreme Court, a Voting Rights Act case that could very well get rid of this race question when it comes to redistricting and gerrymandering. To me, that is the bigger case at the Supreme Court right now. They've already heard oral arguments in that case. They could issue an opinion in the coming weeks. If they take away race as a condition for drawing maps, redistricting maps, that could force the redrawing of maps all across the South. Some estimates have 18 to 20 current Democrat seats could flip Republican potentially in that scenario. Bottom line, this Texas redistricting case is going to get its say at the court, but there's other cases as well. We are far from having a final word on what the 2026 midterm maps actually look like and who has the advantage going into Election Day 2026.
All right, Joe. Well, thank you so much for that info and taking the time to speak with us today. And we look forward to speaking with you again soon.
I'm Tony Jaramillo, your Southside Neighborhood News reporter. Texas is facing a spike in costs for Affordable Care Act premiums next year. The premiums are expected to rise by about 35% on average, and that could result in many declining health care. But one company is trying to offer help amid the uncertainty. Texas faces about a 35% average jump in ACA premiums for 2026. The federal subsidies that made coverage affordable are set to expire December 31st, and now many could be paying the full cost. Texas already has the highest uninsured rate in the country, and here in Wessex County, that number is even higher at 18%. For many, healthcare is simply becoming too expensive. That's where Dr. Renee Dua and her team have stepped in to help. She co-founded $10 Telehealth. There's no copay, no deductible, and they offer a variety of health services, all from your phone, laptop, or computer with a camera. They are licensed providers, and all for $10 a year and $10 per appointment. The service is set to launch on January 12th of 2026, and you can find all the information on $10 Telehealth on our website, KrisTV.com. On the South Side, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Tony Jaramillo, Chris 6 News.
Well, good Thursday morning there, Coastal Bend. I'm meteorologist Stephen Jones taking a live look out at our Snoopy's Pier Skycam thanks to Matthews CCAC. 6:16 a.m., 77 degrees, and those winds also out of the southeast, just over 10 miles an hour. The water is nice and calm this morning, and you see the causeway. Maybe people starting to take their morning commute as well as we're heading out the door. Taking a look back at yesterday, another record-chasing day for us, 2 degrees shy of that record high. That was 90 back from 1953. The morning low is not even close, about 40 degrees off. That record was 34 back from 1959, and you can see rainfall wise definitely need a lot of rain to make up for the 2025 deficit so far. Temperatures in your neighborhood, 77, the common number along the coast for Port Aransas, Ingleside, as well as the Naval Air Station. 74 here in Corpus Christi, as well as Robstown off to the northwest. Cotulla coming in about 72 degrees, and even some upper 60s as you work your way off towards the south. And looking at those winds out there, all of us enjoying a nice breeze out of the southeast, about 5 to 10 miles an hour, even 12 miles an hour out of the south there in Freer, and that's starting to dissipate just a little bit of the fog, but we're still seeing some development, especially off towards the south. You can see Kingsville and Alice, and then off towards the south, really that reduced visibility. So want to give yourself a couple extra minutes out the door this morning, and even off towards the north, if you're going to be heading off to the north of Rockport or Beeville, want to be wary of that as well. I'm going to keep my eyes on it to see if we see any more expansion about through the next 30 minutes to an hour. For your dog walking forecast today, we've got Bruno and Frito on the board here, ready to go on their walk, and temperatures not looking too bad either, just a little humid out there for them. 80 degrees by 9 a.m., 84 by that lunchtime hour with winds out of the south about 10 to even 20 miles an hour as we're getting closer to that lunchtime hour. So a breezy afternoon on the way for the coastal bend, and a toasty one at that, with feels like temperatures getting into those lower 90s with the dew points in the 70s. So another warm day on the way, and we'll do it all again as we go into tomorrow. But luckily there's also some rain out there on the Doppler radar spreading in from Clayburgh County off to the northwest towards Orange Grove. Even a couple yellows starting to make their way on the board. So hopefully we see a little bit more as we're heading through the morning hours. Just right now, not looking like it's totally confident as we head into the afternoon. Those best rain chances really going to remain off to the north, where we see this flood watch from San Antonio and off towards the northwest. And that's exactly what the future tracker going to show, with just spotty activity around Corpus Christi. But the heart of that rainfall and thunderstorm activity going to be into the hill country area and central Texas. So for now, not looking like it's going to hit us here in the coastal bend. But as we go into the weekend, still holding on to some of those isolated rain chances. And even into next week with that next weather system on the way, those temperatures go back down to the lower 80s with some more scattered thunderstorms possible as we head into Wednesday.
This line behind me started forming as the sun came up, and it wasn't for a sale or a show. I'm Alexis Scott, telling you how one Corpus Christi dentist is giving back in a major way.
Coming up on Sunrise, we have a look at what local pizza place is keeping it clean and who needs to clean it up on Kitchen Cops.
Now, your Chris 6 Kitchen Cops Report.
It's Thursday, and you know what that means? It's time for Kitchen Cops. We're taking a look at who's keeping it clean and who needs to clean things up. Our perfect score this morning goes to Gigi's Pizza on Alameda Street. Now, this hole in the wall not only serves pizza, they also have sandwiches, calzones, pasta, and wings, and they're no stranger to the Coastal Bend.
Our first store opened up in Mathis back in 2016. We opened up here about 2.5 years ago, and the community has really responded well.
A big congrats to Gigi's for keeping things clean. Also on this week's perfect score list, Drunken Noodles on Alameda, Divina Dulzura Bakery on South Staples, Chicken Express on South Staples, and J&D Sushi Buffet on Yorktown. And the low score of the week is Kiko's on Everhart. This week's list doesn't stop there. If you want to see if your favorite chow hall is on the perfect list or one that needs a little work, head on over to our website at christv.com.
Well, good Thursday morning there, Coastal Bend, getting a live look out at our USS Lexington cam, brought to us by First Community Bank. You can see some of that thick cloud cover out there, as well as a little bit of patchy fog trying to develop here in Corpus Christi, but most of it remaining off towards the south, towards Alice and Kingsville. So something to be mindful of as you're getting ready for that morning commute. Looking at our traffic on the roadways this morning, not too bad out the door either, as we're looking at the new Harbor Bridge to and from Portland this morning. Going to be good and green both directions if you're getting ready to head that way. Over into Corpus Christi now, Ocean Drive, SPID, Saratoga, and Crosstown Expressway. All of our major roadways coming in the clear, that good and green color we like to see on the board. Working over towards Flower Bluff Drive, good both directions, but Waldron Road, a minor slowdown there you just want to be mindful of, as well as the normal one we see closer to the gates there at the Naval Air Station. Those drive times sitting pretty good as well, 22 minutes, what you expect from downtown to the island, 8 from Portland to downtown. Cal Allen to downtown sitting around 14 minutes, so wherever you're coming from and going to, good and green to head out the door and then kick off your Friday Junior.
A broken van and a mechanic with a good heart. I'm Ana Conejo, and I'll show you how one act of kindness is making a big difference.
Now, weather on the 6s.
Well, good Thursday morning there, Coastal Bend, looking at Snoopy's Skycam. Thanks to Matthew CCAC, you can see a beautiful sunrise on our hands, as well with some of that low cloud cover out there. Even some patchy fog trying to develop in some of our inland communities. Luckily here on Snoopy's Skycam, looking nice and clear in terms of the fog out there. Taking a look back at yesterday, though, it was almost a record. It was at least a record-chasing day, not quite record-breaking. You can see we were 2 degrees shy. 88 degrees was our daytime high. Compared to that record, we were at 90 degrees for back in 1953. Also 5 or 6 years later, 1959, coming in at 34 degrees. So the records both in the 50s for this day. And as we look at yesterday, we were about 40 degrees off of that, coming in at 73 degrees, and plenty of rain, as we know, needed to make up for 2025 so far. Taking a look at temperatures in your neighborhood this morning, 77 for Ingleside, Port Aransas, and the Naval Air Station. 74 here in Corpus Christi, as well as Robstown, and off toward the northwest, Cotulla coming in around 72 degrees, the same number we're seeing for Beeville, as well as San Diego this this morning. Those winds not too bad, nice and light out of the southeast for most of us, about 5 to 10 miles an hour. 12 miles an hour is what we're reading there in Freer, 11 miles an hour over in Port Aransas. So luckily it's getting rid of some of the fog. Well, at least we're not seeing quite as much as we saw yesterday, but still, if you're in some of our southern communities off towards Kingsville and Alice, especially seeing some of those reduced visibility, so want to be mindful of that as you're getting ready to head out the door. And if you're heading off to the north of the coastal bend as well, north of Rockport, there you can see some more patchy fog developing, so keeping my eyes on it, but should start to dissipate after we see the sun come up a little bit more. For your dog walking forecast, we could see today we've got Bruno and Frito on the board, ready to go on their walk, of course, and kick off their Friday Junior. Temperatures not too bad for them, 80 degrees there by 9 a.m., 84 by 12 p.m., with also getting a little breezy there by 11 a.m. Winds picking up out of the south, about 20 miles an hour, so a breezy day on the way, and also a toasty afternoon on the way with those daytime highs reaching the mid-80s along the coast, upper 80s as you work your way inland, pretty similar to what we've had the past couple of days, and also those feels like temperatures once again riding right back up into those lower 90s by 2 to 4 p.m. So another toasty day for us, and then we're going to do it all again as we head into our Friday. For the Doppler radar, here's some of the better news for us. We're seeing some greens on the board, even a couple yellows down towards Clayburgh County, working its way off to the northwest towards Orange Grove and along I-37. We could see, hopefully we're going to see a little bit of an expansion just for now as we go into the afternoon. Does look like we'll start to dry out. Those best rain chances going to remain off towards the north. You could see by San Antonio and off towards the northwest where they have that flood watch in effect until tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. So that's where the best rain chances are going to be, but we could start to see some more work in as we're heading into the weekend and then next week. You can see as we're looking at the future tracker, the best storms and rain chances going to be in the Hill Country area. Luckily, that does fall in some of the northern extent of our watershed, but here in Corpus Christi, only those spotty showers this morning, the rest of the day looking pretty dry until tomorrow night when that boundary finally makes it to the area but stalls out just shy of Corpus Christi. Some spotty activity is possible once again heading into those overnight hours. So as you get ready for Friday night football, could bring the umbrella with you. Hopefully no lightning delays, but could still see some rain on the board as you're heading out there. And looking at the rainfall estimates over the next 7 days, probably only going to pick up about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch here in Corpus Christi, but off towards our watershed into the northern extent, you can see that 2 to 3 inch mark. So plenty of rain up there, and hopefully it starts to trickle down just a little bit as it works into our reservoirs, at least with that next rain chance on the board as well. For our 7-day forecast, the rain chances have weakened a little bit this weekend with just isolated showers and storms on the board. That next front on the board by the time we're heading into early next week, with the lower 80s on Wednesday of next week and maybe even cooler temperatures in the way by the time we're heading into Thanksgiving.
The city of Portland is bracing itself for the coastal bend's water woes. I'm Adam Beam looking at their plans and what it means for neighbors.
Restaurants across the country are struggling to survive. I'm Holly Furfer, and coming up, we're going to show you how immigration policies and rising costs are forcing restaurant owners to make some tough decisions.
A recent study from YouGov reveals just how much Americans are cutting back on dining out. Nearly 40% of diners say they're eating out less frequently than they did a year ago, with prices having risen noticeably. Holly Furfer looks at how the slowdown could impact the broader economy, since consumer spending accounts for 2/3 of U.S. economic activity.
The busiest time for most restaurants in the country is fast approaching, the winter holiday season. And after a year like this one, restaurants need customers. Higher prices, less foot traffic, and immigration policies have many businesses struggling.
Restaurants are tough even in the best of times.
For restaurant owner Derek Kitchen, this year has been far from the best of times.
The inflation itself really took a lot out of us, and then the tariffs kind of brought us to our knees, to be honest with you.
Higher costs for business owners is meeting with less foot traffic. 37% of Americans are dining out less, according to a recent study from YouGov. And higher costs on menus are changing how consumers spend.
It's really tough because prices have just been rising, and a lot of consumers don't feel as though their salaries have kept up to the same pace as that.
This study shows people are sharing meals and ordering fewer alcoholic drinks to cut costs. The pressure is forcing closures across the country.
Cost of goods has gone up 35%, and payroll has gone up like 39%.
Another pressure hitting restaurants hard, immigration policies.
We had been hearing from obviously workers, but also also employers, that the immigration enforcement that's going on right now is devastating to the industry.
More than 137,000 foreign-born restaurant workers have left the industry since March, according to an estimate from One Fair Wage.
I think you could see upwards of, anywhere between 300,000 and 500,000 workers lost.
Okay, I have a taco and a tostada. Right after the election, we saw a decrease in store traffic. Right away, the customer base dropped.
Arizona restaurant owner Adriana Zapata is seeing the impacts on customers and employees.
Now the second drop, the drop in applications coming in.
As the holiday season approaches, restaurants are counting on customers filling their dining rooms. Holly Furfer, Scripps News Group, Atlanta.
Well, good morning, Coastal Bend. I'm meteorologist Stephen Jones getting a good look at our Snoopy's Pier Sky Cam thanks to Matthews CCAC. You can see a beautiful sunrise on our hands. Those temperatures in the upper 70s and winds out of the southeast 5 to 10 miles an hour for most of us as we're starting off our Thursday morning. When we're getting a good look at those dew points, though, you're definitely noticing the moisture once again stepping out the door. Lower 70s along the coast. As you work your way inland, some more of those lower 70s as well, even a couple upper 60s making their way on the board and leading to some spotty shower activity as well across the Coastal Bend. For your daytime high here in Corpus Christi, expecting about 86 degrees with some of those isolated showers around this morning, likely into the afternoon, probably going to dry out is what I'm expecting for the afternoon. That current Doppler radar showing you where some spotty shower activity is making its way into Clayburgh County, even upwards along I-37 there. We're going to see if we can see just a little bit of an expansion of this activity as we go throughout the morning hours, maybe even up to 9, 8, or 9, 10, and 11 a.m. But as we go into that afternoon, like I said, going to probably clear up with the best rain chances remaining well off to the northwest of San Antonio, where they see that flood watch. As we go into the weekend, we could see some more of this spotty to isolated activity start to make its way in a return to the Coastal Bend and hopefully picking up just a little bit more rain. I'll go over all those rain chances and the full 7-day forecast coming up in just a bit.
Now, 20 minutes of non-stop news, sponsored by Ewald Kubota.
Thank you so much for joining us for our 20 minutes of nonstop news. I'm Michaela Chavez. Brian and Michelle have the day off. And we have plenty of neighborhood news for you this morning. But first, we're going to go ahead and send it over to meteorologist Stephen Jones. Good morning, Stephen. Happy Thursday.
Well, good morning, Michaela, and happy Friday, Junior. We're almost there.
Friday, Junior. Yeah, I like that.
Basically, almost the weekend. Going to start calling it Weekend Junior tomorrow, of course, as we head into tomorrow. But hopefully it starts to feel a little bit more like the season, I guess, outside. A little humid for me. What about you?
It's a little too hot right now for November.
Yeah, but as we're looking out there, here's a live look at that SPID Skycam. Really not too bad, just a beautiful sunrise, at least as we're starting off our Thursday. Some of that low cloud cover, even a little bit of fog as you work your way inland, something to give a couple extra minutes for. But as we're heading out the door and looking at the traffic around the Corpus Christi area, not too bad with plenty of greens on the board out and about right now as we're looking out there. And you can see on our SPID Skycam, really just starting to see a few more cars take the roadway as well as we're heading towards that 7 a.m. hour. But looking around Corpus Christi, not too bad. That New Harbor Bridge, good and green this morning, as well as we're looking into Corpus Christi, Ocean Drive, SPID, both looking good. Saratoga, a couple minor slowdowns to look at there. And over towards Flower Bluff, they're looking pretty good as well. Just a minor slowdown there on Waldron Road. So wherever you're coming from and going to, looking pretty good to head out the door and kick off your Thursday morning.
Thanks, Stephen. We'll check back in with you in just a bit. We have plenty of neighborhood news to get to this morning. From the city of Portland exploring options to secure its own water to a new community program in the city of Robstown. We have you covered in your neighborhood check-in.
We've got second base, third base, and then sliding into home.
At the forefront of our water woes, the city of Corpus Christi continues to search for its path forward. But they're not the only ones.
It is now necessary for Portland to begin the process toward water independence.
At the end of October, the city of Portland hosted a workshop with water at the center of it all. Weeks later, I followed up with those same city leaders to check in on their progress.
Portland is committed to making sure that our citizens have water into the future.
Some of the ways the city could potentially secure that water includes its brackish groundwater and even potentially looking at larger scale endeavors like their own desalination projects, though at this time, nothing has been finalized.
A broken van and a mechanic with a good heart. I'm Ana Conejo and I'll show you how one act of kindness is making a big difference.
A Robstown auto shop owner is giving back this holiday season by repairing a critical van for the Free Store, a nonprofit that provides meals, clothing, and outreach for people in need.
When the van's transmission failed and repair estimates reached far beyond the nonprofit's budget, the founder asked the community for help. Support quickly poured in all sorts of ways, and shop owner Ruben Medina stepped up to fix the van at no cost. His support will help the van return to service soon and continue supporting people throughout the Coastal Bend, while encouraging others to give back during the holidays.
You've probably never seen this many people standing outside of a dentist's office. I'm Alexis Scott, your Bay Area neighborhood news reporter, and dental work can be really expensive, and some health plans may not cover it. So one local dentist made an offer these folks couldn't refuse.
Hundreds of people stood outside Family Dentistry by Dr. Badia Yassin since the sun came up on Wednesday afternoon. The line seemed to grow as the afternoon went on. That's because for the 8th year in a row, Dr. Yassin has offered free tooth extractions to the community. On average, a tooth extraction can cost $300, and that's on the least expensive side. Dr. Yassin and her team says this effort reminds them their service is all about helping others and putting smiles on faces.
I'm Stephanie Molina, your neighborhood news reporter in Robstown. The Robstown Young Futures multi-purpose building is aiming to inspire kids and teens to continue learning. I'm taking an inside look at the facility and the hope it's bringing to its community. Applause and excitement filled the morning as a ribbon cutting took place for Young Futures, a new community hub built to lift up local kids and families. Founder Edward Borchard says the mission is simple: give kids the tools and safe space they need to become the adults of tomorrow. The facility will have 3 phases: the main multi-purpose building, the gym, and the field. Young Futures will also serve as a Robstown emergency warming and cooling center when needed. Local nonprofit Esperanza de Texas is also partnering on a Second Hope's Closet in Nueces County, offering free clothing and essentials to families in need. It's a community investment, part classroom, part playground, part safety net, all aimed at helping Robstown's next generation thrive.
I'm Melissa Trevino, your neighborhood news reporter in George West for the 10th annual Extra Special Field Day. It's a time to bring the community together and make sure everyone feels included. A day of fun for these special Coastal Bend kids. Over a dozen schools took to the track at the George West ISD to race and play games. For Ricardo Moreno III, this was a day for his son Enrique to just have fun and be a kid. A day with no judgment or restrictions. A day for his son to feel free and surrounded by friends.
Well, good Thursday morning there, Coastal Bend. I'm meteorologist Stephen Jones, getting a good look at our Snoopy's Pier sky cam. Thanks to Matthew CCAC, just a gorgeous sunrise on our hands as we're kicking off our Thursday, and you can see just a little bit of cloud cover out there as well. Even some patchy fog as you work your way inland, so something to give a couple extra minutes for as you're heading out the door this morning. Those temperatures in your neighborhood sitting at the 77-degree mark along the coast for Port Aransas, the Naval Air Station, and Ingleside this morning. 74 here in Corpus Christi, as well as Robstown, Alice, coming in at 70 degrees. Cotulla off to the northwest about that 72-degree mark, and all of us definitely feeling the humidity with those winds out of the southeast about 5 to 10 miles an hour. 11 miles an hour the number for Port Aransas, the Naval Air Station, as well as Freer this morning. Going to pick up quite a bit as we're going into those afternoon hours. For current visibility, luckily starting to come up just a little bit there in Alice over the 1 statute visibility, mile visibility there in Alice. Now we were seeing about a half-mile visibility, so luckily starting to dissipate just a little bit. Going to keep my eyes on it as we head through the rest of the show, of course. And looking at that dog walking forecast today, we've got Bruno and Fredo on the board here, of course, ready to go on their walks today. And looking at those temperatures, not too bad. 80 degrees by 9 a.m., 84 there by that lunch hour. But like I said, a little breezy, picking up out of the south, 15 to 20 miles an hour as we're heading into those later morning hours. Taking a look at the forecast highs for today, the mid-80s expected along the coast, upper 80s as you work your way inland, 88 and 89 degrees chasing that 90-degree mark. But it's going to be feeling like the 90s either way with those dew points in the 70s. You can see by 2 to 4 p.m. feeling like 91, if not 92 degrees. So a bit of a toasty afternoon on the way. Only those 70s expected tonight. Then we do it all again as we head into our Friday. For the current Doppler radar out there, some nice spotty shower activity working in towards Clayburgh County to the south and then spreading just a little bit along I-37 there, hoping for some more activity to work its way into the area as we go through the other morning hours. But the best rain chance is really going to be remaining off towards the north. You can see from San Antonio and off towards the north and the west. That flood watch in effect through tomorrow about 6 a.m. with all the rain they're expecting. Luckily, this is the northern extent of our watershed, so hopefully some of that trickles down into our reservoirs. Looking at the future tracker for today, you can see that spotty shower activity this morning around the Corpus Christi area, but the main event going to be Central Texas and the Hill Country with all the storms that they're going to be seeing in throughout the afternoon hours and really even into the overnight hours for Central Texas. But here in Corpus Christi, that boundary makes its way into our area by tomorrow evening and then really starts to fizzle out and stall out, but still could be responsible for some spotty to isolated shower activity as we're heading towards Friday night football. So something to be mindful of as we're heading into tomorrow night and even into the weekend. Still dealing with some of that isolated shower and storm activity even into next week. That next weather maker on the board going to be responsible for some scattered thunderstorms by Wednesday and hopefully even cooler weather by Thanksgiving.
Residents in the city's historic North Side tell me they felt ignored by the city for years. Now, the city is pouring $30 million into renovating parks in the area. I'm your North Side neighborhood news reporter, Jada Jenkins, speaking with neighbors who say they're still not impressed. Hillcrest and Washington Coles were once thriving black neighborhoods. Now, residents say refineries and the new Harbor Bridge have pushed families to the margins and left the community feeling ignored. Now, the city says it'll invest $30 million into 3 parks in the area.
It's a great historical moment, or it's a new beginning, if you will.
I met with Henry Williams, a legacy in the community. This park was named after his father, who was the first black doctor in Corpus Christi. He says it's been a long fight to get here.
We have been dealing with city government for many, many years.
Henry showed me where some of these new upgrades will go, which are right next to the bridge.
We deserve to be respected.
Northside residents have been vocal about these upgrades. While I was at the park, a family pulled over to tell me they're not convinced if this move is actually for them. And my Facebook has flooded with comments and messages from neighbors who say they feel the city is just throwing a Band-Aid on top of a larger issue.
And that's why I say you just can't make one thing and think that it's going to just satisfy all.
I met with Sylvia Tyron Oliver at Washington Coles Park, where construction has already begun. She goes to church in this neighborhood. And while she's glad for some growth here, she feels the community didn't get a chance to say what they truly needed.
We were not involved in it. Should we have been? Absolutely.
Residents say they need better streets, lights, and regular cleanup, not just new playgrounds. And after years of broken promises, Sylvia says it's not surprising there's a lack of trust in the city.
The city during that time certainly left bad tastes in the black community, for sure.
But others, like Dwayne Green, say they're ready to see what this could bring.
Everything I did was right here, Hillcrest, North Side area.
He hopes these changes will open the door for more.
Embrace the change, you know, for the future.
People I spoke with here say they're thankful for the investment, but what they really want is a seat at the table. They tell me they'll continue to hold the city accountable so their voices don't get lost again. On the North Side, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Jada Jenkins, KRIS 6 News.
Now, 6 things to know before you go.
Oral arguments are set for today over the immigration case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He's the Salvadorian national who was mistakenly deported by the Trump administration and then brought back to the U.S. Last month, Immigration and Customs Enforcement filed a notice of their plan to deport him to the West African nation of Liberia. In a filing on Friday, Abrego's attorneys argue that Abrego Garcia has already designated Costa Rica as a country where he is willing to be deported. They claim the government must send him there. A House Energy Subcommittee is set to hold a hearing today on the impacts of daylight saving time on travel and tourism. The hearing comes after years of public debate over whether it's time to permanently end the twice-annual clock change. Currently, only 2 states keep their clocks consistent year-round, Arizona and Hawaii. Last month, the Senate briefly took up a long-stalled bill that would have made daylight saving time permanent. However, lawmakers once again failed to reach an agreement. President Donald Trump has authorized the public release of all Jeffrey Epstein-related files. He announced on Truth Social Wednesday night that he signed a bill directing the Justice Department to do so. The signing comes a day after the measure passed the House 427-1. It passed the Senate through unanimous consent Wednesday morning. The bill mandates that Attorney General Pam Bondi release all unclassified records tied to Epstein within 30 days. President Donald Trump announced Wednesday that he plans to host New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani Friday in the Oval Office. It would be their first face-to-face meeting since the election. On social media, Trump said that Mamdani asked for the meeting and he agreed. In an interview Wednesday, Mamdani said he wants to speak plainly to the president about New Yorkers struggling to afford the city. Mamdani is scheduled to be sworn in as mayor in January. An apartment fire off Castores and Galahar forced 4 units to be evacuated. It happened around 5:15 Wednesday evening at the Windrush Apartments. Crews were on scene quickly and had the fire under control. CCFD officials tell us there were no major injuries, but a few residents could be displaced because of the smoke and fire damage. And today is the last day of the annual Thomas J. Henry Turkey Giveaway. Since Sunday, the law firm has been handing out turkey vouchers to neighbors in need. If you're interested, cars start lining up at 10 this morning at the Thomas J. Henry Center for Philanthropy on Ocean Drive in Buford. The vouchers are redeemable at the H-E-B on Southport. There will be some street closures in the area along Shoreline from Buford Street down to Cooper's Alley. And Taco Bell is rolling out 3 new items nationwide, all created by real fans. Starting today, the Cantina Craze, California Crunch Wrap, and Burrito Bliss will be available for a limited time. The fan-made lineup features a steak and fries twist on the classic Crunch Wrap, a grilled vegetarian remix of the cheesy bean and rice burrito, and a loaded version of the Cantina Chicken Crispy Taco. Taco Bell loyalists were invited to share their ideas for the new menu items. How interesting, because I have been saying for the past week that I've been craving Taco Bell and I haven't gotten it yet.
Okay.
This is my sign. I think this was my sign.
Yeah, do you have one of those items that you think you might have to try?
One of those, oof. Maybe the vegetarian wrap. Oh, actually, they all look good. That California Crunch Wrap, I think that one's speaking to me.
Absolutely, yeah, I'm a Crunch Wrap
You too?
fan. And the Cantina Craze, I don't think that's looking too bad either. So they might both be worth a try, I think. But I don't know, I think it's going to be kind of fun to try those out.
And you know what? Taco Bell, their stuff is not that expensive.
No, yeah, typically not too bad. I mean,
that's why I get it.
It has come up just a little bit, I think, during the past few years, but still not too bad relatively. At least, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Then when we're looking at the weather, I mean, not too bad to enjoy a Crunch Wrap as we're going into the weekend. Maybe a little bit of rain out there, so maybe you're able to just stay inside and then enjoy a nice Crunch Wrap as we're looking out there. Here's a live look out at our USS Lexington cam, thanks to First Community Bank. You can see 74 degrees, a lot of that low cloud cover also out there with the thick tropical moisture that we've seen return to the area. Even some inland fog as you work your way to the south towards Kingsville and Alice. So something to be mindful of as we're stepping out the door this morning. Those current temperatures in your neighborhood, 77 the number for Ingleside, Port Aransas, and the Naval Air Station. Here in Corpus Christi, 74, the same for Robstown and George West this morning, 72 for Beeville and Cotulla as we round it off towards the northwest. Taking a look at those winds, they're pretty light right now, about 5 to 10 miles an hour out of the southeast, continuing to bring in that moisture to the coastal bend, likely to pick up quite a bit as we're going into those afternoon hours. First, taking a look at our current visibility, you can see Alice just under that 1 statute mile of visibility. So there's that inland fog I was talking about. Luckily, not as bad as we saw yesterday, thanks to just the winds picked up just a little bit from what we were seeing yesterday. For today's dog walking forecast, here we've got Bruno and Fredo on the board, ready to go on their walk, kick off their Friday Junior, if you will. Taking a look at those temperatures, 10 a.m., about 81 degrees, those mid-80s into the area by that noon hour, with winds also picking up out of the south about 15 to 20 miles an hour heading towards that lunchtime hour. So a breezy afternoon definitely on the way, and also toasty with those dew points in the 70s. Going to make those 80s feel like they're in the lower 90s by about 2 to 3 p.m. So like I said, just a little toasty out there. Try to limit the time outdoors if you can. As we're looking at the wind gusts, they're likely only going to be, well, the sustained winds are only going to be about 20 miles an hour, but gusts could get upwards of 30 miles an hour, especially between 1 and 5 p.m. So this is what I was talking about with that breezy afternoon on the way, but luckily not looking like there's going to be too much rain into the afternoon if you have those outdoor plans. We're the current Doppler radar, seeing just a little bit of that spotty activity working into Clayburgh and now Nueces County as well, spreading just a little bit along I-37, but it's very spotty, very brief at that as well. Could see a little bit more of this spotty activity going into the morning hours, but the by far best rain chance is going to be remaining off to the northwest of San Antonio with that flood watch in effect through tomorrow morning. And you can see on our future tracker the spotty showers around here, but the main event going to be the hill country with that system of storms working through the area and into the overnight hours. But our best rain chance is going to be coming into the area by the time we're heading into the weekend, and even next week with that next weather maker on the board. That cold front cools us off to the lower 80s by Wednesday, and then Thanksgiving, it's got some indications we could see below average temperatures in those lower 70s potentially, so still something to watch. You know, the past couple cold fronts have been kind of washing out, but I'm excited for some more seasonable temperatures. What about you?
I have so many options for Thanksgiving outfits that are long sleeve, and so cold weather would be very much more appropriate.
Yeah, keeping our fingers crossed that, you know, it holds its strength and makes its way into the area.
For sure. Alrighty, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Sunrise this morning, and we'll see you back here for KRIS 6 News at noon.